Welcome back to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined with Vegas Runner. It's segment 4, part 2 of the NBA Finals. Game 7. We had so much to talk about in the first segment on this.
This is the second half.
Second half, guys. So if you're finding us on YouTube, there is a part 1.
You enjoyed the halftime show?
There is a part 1 you want to check out. VR, we've said, we've talked about the intensity in the first segment. But what I've taken from it, and you're dead on it, it's appeared that one team has wanted it more. But what I found is I agree with you on that end of it, the hustle part. One team has shown more. But every game where a team has won, there has been something out of the ordinary that has happened. You go to game 2. Okay, game 1, it was Lakers. There's so much history on home teams in game 1 of a series, blah, blah, blah. Lakers did what they're supposed to do. They took care of business, held serve, so to speak. But in game 2,
Ray
Allen went off. All those three-pointers, it was something that, the Lakers obviously were not prepared for. Nobody figured, Ray Allen, he's, as old as dirt, and to be hitting the shots the way that he did. And he single-handedly carried the Celtics to a win in game 2.
Sure.
Then you go back to Boston in game 3, and as good as he was in game 2, he was an absolute non-factor in game 3, so much to the point that he was a detriment to the Celtics because he missed
shot away from breaking a record.
Missed everything he put up, and it set the Lakers up for the win. So you had that out of the ordinary scenario. Then we go to game 4.
Reserves, Baby Davis.
Boston was struggling. This looks like the series is going to be over. If the Lakers go up 3-1, it's done. Get the fork out. Yeah. Put a fork in them. Celtics are done. What happens? Doc Rivers pulls everybody off the floor.
Nate Robinson
brings in the bench.
Baby.
Brings in the bench, and they go off. And they had the highest scoring quarter of the whole finals. So nobody saw that coming. Then we go to game 5, and there was a Paul Pierce
moment.
There was a sighting. Paul Pierce. I had to check
threes, man.
I had to check the roster, my program, to make sure he was still on the team because we had not seen him the entire game. And in that game, we know that game 6 was a rout for the Lakers. If Kobe Bryant doesn't start the third quarter scoring the first 17 points for the Lakers, shooting three-pointers from 3-4 feet beyond the arc, and fall-away jumpers, they're blown out of the building.
It was as ugly as last night.
Right, exactly. But now you look at game 6, and I have one thing to say, and there's no way that you could have gone into the game and told me that in the first half, which, let's face it, forget the second half, this game was decided midway through the first quarter and midway through, to the half.
Nothing supports that more than the winner of the first quarter has won every game.
And when this game was in the heat, when they opened up, they went back and forth till they hit like the 16 mark, and then the Lakers got separation. Ron Artest went off, nailed
finding his shot, baby.
Three-pointers in the early going that got the Lakers going. Now, if
15 points for Artest,
right? But he got the 9.
Yeah,
at the part of the game
they needed it most. Yeah,
they got the separation. How do you game plan for Ron Artest having a night like that?
Exactly.
So watching the game, you definitely got to say this. You'd say, how can it not be a blowout in Game 7? You've got the history of Game 7s.
Last team to win was the Washington against Seattle Supersonics in 1985. So we're looking at 25 years of not a team being able to win a Game 7 on the road in the NBA Finals.
And I'm quoting this off, I'm not 100% sure on this number, but I'm 90% sure. I think I saw a stat Game 7, whenever there's a 4 seed or lower involved, the home team's 15-3 straight up last 18 times. So it's a situation where all the history is definitely
Lakers to win the game.
Lakers to win the game. But, now you've got the injury, for the Celtics. The line is definitely pumped up. And, the one thing I'm going to say to be careful on, and I have not decided what I'm doing in Game 7.
I mean, either. I'm not going to lie to you. I still need a lot of handicapping to do.
Because, as we talked about in our This Week in Vegas segment, both you and me are holding large holdings on. We have the Lakers for series bets.
Yep.
You had yours early. I had mine late. So we're sitting there with the Lakers just to win.
Lakers pick them tomorrow night.
We can either sit, we can hedge off half of it to Boston, or if you really if you end up liking Boston, you can come back and go over the top and bet 1.5 times on Boston, because you still have a middle possibility. And if you like Boston better for the game, then obviously you want more than you got on the series price. So all kinds of opportunities. But there's one thing I've said for 30 years. You've quoted me several times on it. It's one of my favorite sayings. Remember, no team is as good as their best game.
Sure.
And no team is as bad as their worst game. And in Game 6, we saw last night.
And the worst of both.
Right,
sure.
of both teams last night. Again, we've seen it in earlier series during these playoffs where a team just got the doors drilled a second time.
Yeah.
It happened in Atlanta, series against Orlando. We've seen it happen.
Sweeps.
But this is a series that's shown us all the way through that neither team has hit the panic button when they had a bad outing.
Funny how the point spread hasn't come into effect at all.
No.
Anywhere. And will it come into play in Game 7? I mean, that's the $1 million question. Because I'll tell you what, all the history says Lakers should win the game straight up.
Right.
So do you lay the 7 since the line hasn't come into play? But then on the flip side, if you bet Boston, now do you even need the 7? Or you're going to bet, if you like Boston, do you play them on the money line?
I can tell you this much. Because of all of the Lakers series money that's out there, they are exposed if this game falls 1 to 7 points.
Oh, yeah, because most wise guys
are going to take the middle.
Yeah, it's a 7-point middle on a championship game, and it might even go higher.
Right.
Now,
we've got like a minute and a half left. Before we forget, we got to give a coupon.
Give it away.
So we'll do that, and we'll come back. It's a $10 coupon. Go to Pregame Pros. Check out all of the hot cappers we have. And, guys, we got some really hot cappers right now. Check them out. Anything you put in your shopping cart, if you add the word, since it's the championship tomorrow, we're going to go with Champ 10. There's going to be a champ crowned tomorrow.
Yep.
Just type in the word Champ and the number 10, and you'll get $10 off your purchase. In VR, if it happens to be a $10 pick,
drinks are on the house.
Drinks are on the house, free on
Picks
RJ.
Are on the house.
What could be better? So write it down. Champ 10. That's your coupon for this week. Going back less than a minute. What do you think?
I do not think we're going to see obviously a blowout throughout the game. It might stretch into one them last 2 minutes, because we all know how teams like to stretch out the game, especially when it's a final game. So a 4-point lead could turn into 12 very quickly. The one thing I do, believe it or not, feel is that we're going to see more points scored than we'd seen the last game or two. That I'm not sure if I'm willing to bet the over, but I do not think we're going to see as low of a scoring as
we haven't seen. And I'll wrap it up here. I mean, all these games have been under, but I'll tell you this. We haven't had one of those games like we've had in other series where you get that 2 minutes where they score 20 points at the end of the game, because they're fouling constantly from the 2-minute mark, and teams are putting up quick twos.
We haven't
seen one of those, and this total keeps coming a little bit lower, lower. So just beware of that. Hey, guys, it's going to be a great game.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it immensely. I know I will. Vegas Runner will. This has been the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. Be sure to check out all of our podcasts at iTunes. You can download and listen at your convenience. Just search for pregame.com. You'll find us. Talk to you guys next week.